Hi guys, welcome now to the graph section here for this mega review, I guess. I'm going to start off straight away with the graph for the Leteciel the shark. This is the graph of the Leteciel the shark. As you can see, nicely executed bass, nice full mid bass, no real significant bleed into the mids. That 100 hertz point there that I usually like taking into consideration corresponds to 2.5 because there isn't much energy past that point above there. You can see it's nicely balanced, so nice warm tonality, very easy to listen to, very musical, very satisfying. And as I said, compared to the IVP KIQ Shanghai, it is exactly the same. Trust me, this difference here is, this is nothing. It's the same IM. Trust me, I've got two. I also put the other one here. The other one here is almost the same as there with a smidge less bass. It's the same IM. The IVPIQ Shanghai with the Leteciel Shark, it is the same IM. Okay, so that's that. Now, next one I'm going to show you, it's the Zuleniao, the Z3. So this is the Zuleniao Z3. I was having some difficulty in getting rid of this little modulation there. Anyway, as you can see, it's that mid bass focus. Okay, we're talking about a bass gain which is of roughly 8 dBs, not even close to 8 dBs. That 100 hertz point corresponds to almost 2. There's a significant amount of energy there, as you can see past, to give the upper mid supposedly enough energy, and it does, but it then sounds dark here. And how can you compare, or how can you see what I'm trying to say when I mentioned that it was slightly darker and not as detailed up top as some of the other IMs that I had here? Well, let me just put here the Leteciel. I'm just going to make the Leteciel in black so that it stands out. Okay, so this is the Leteciel the shark compared to it. It's not in the bass so much that you're going to notice the difference. Okay, although I would say that the bass of the Z3 is probably more significant than what the graph would lead you to believe. It's here, the upper mids and treble area, that you see that the Leteciel edges out the Z3. It's got more detail. Again, not as much detail difference as the graph would lead you to believe, but it's got a little bit more detail. The reality is this: one and the other, they are both very organic type sounding IMs, very musical, very kind of a warmish type of sound, more so on the Z3 than on the Leteciel the shark, but that's what it is. If I compare the Z3 with, for example, like I mentioned, the Draco, okay, basically the same thing, but although you think, but the Draco's got basic, well, let me just make the Draco here in blue so you guys can understand better. But Tony, the Draco measures is basically the same, maybe it's even darker. No, two things here. The Draco's got an 8mm in the base, not a 10, okay, and then the way that the extension happens here in the treble, in the mids and the treble on the Draco as compared to the Z3 is noticeable enough for you to see that the Draco has got just a smidge more detail up top. Not a big difference, but a little bit more detail up top. But again, very similar sounding IMs, the same sort of sound, the same sort of vibe. Let me throw in the Rose Techniques, the Aurora. The Aurora, again, the same sort of bass presentation. Way more bass than the TRI. Way more bass. I'm actually going to take the TRI. I'm just going to put the Aurora now with the Z3. But what you see here is plenty more extension there. Plenty more extension. Okay, which then gives it all that extra detail and so on and so forth. Now, the interesting thing, again, like I mentioned, is for some reason which I can't really understand why, the Z3 doesn't sound as energetic in the upper mids as you would think by the graph, and on the other hand, the Aurora Ultra sounds slightly more recessed than you would think, because the perception that you get from the bass that's coming from behind is more emphasized than what the graph shows. Although they show equal amounts of bass graphically, the Aurora Ultra and the Z3 seems to balance out the bass with the mids better, while the Aurora Ultra, with specific genres, you get more of a feeling of a V, and you get this feeling that the mids here somehow are recessed. Okay, but anyway, that's the Aurora Ultra in the blue, the Z3 in the red, and I'm just going to throw in here again oh my god, the Leteciel the Shark in black. And as you can see, they all have a kind of very similar sort of vibe. There's more detail on the Aurora Ultra. Well, not more detail, but I would say basically the same sort of detail when you listen to it as on the Leteciel, but a little bit more extra, just a smidge more really, in terms of up top. At least that's how I get it, how I perceive it. Definitely the darkest sounding one is the Z3, but any one of the three sounds really good. I mean, that's the truth. What the Z3 and the Aurora Ultra of course have going for it is a price which is half of the Leteciel, and you know, you question yourself, okay, fine, maybe the Z3, no, but you know, the Aurora Ultra, because of the extra amount of you know, the more complete accessories and so on and so forth, even though it does maybe sound a little bit recessed in the mids, maybe it could be a more viable option to the a more viable, no, more make sense option than the Leteciel. On the other hand, just for the sake of comparison, no, let's just leave it like this. Let's not complicate it. Anyway, that's these ones there out of the way. Okay, now Tiandirenia TD19, again that mid-bass focus type of presentation, which is very similar to the kind of bass execution that we have here on the Z3. Let me just actually, just for the sake of you guys, let me go there. Let me just balance these two out. Okay. The TD19, what it has got that edges it out over the Z3 slightly, is it's got a little bit more detail up top there. So you notice that that's got that extra energy there. Also, if you play around with the tips a little bit like I did, I was actually able to plateau this valley a little bit more. But one thing is for sure, plenty mid bass, which makes it nice and engaging and fun. No sibilance, no nothing, none of that. So it's a nice sounding IM. The TD19 is a nice sounding IM. That's the reality. Now, the other ones that I threw there into the equation. Oh, just before I show those ones, this is the iBasso, the Gelato, and they end up sounding very similar up top here, although by the looks of it you wouldn't say so. You would say that the iBasso is significantly more detailed, and the iBasso's got a little bit more energy here in this 5K area. So if you're sensible to that, you'll notice it, but otherwise they are very, very equal in the how they come across. From, let's say, 2.5, 3K above, they are very equal, and from behind you can see that they are basically the same. Okay, all right. Now, those other IEMs that I mentioned, which were the Pirole resin, which is this one here, number 3. Okay, really nice execution. I mean, I think you can't really fault it, and just now I'll show you a few other IEMs. Very nice execution. If you look at it carefully, it kind of has vibes of the Leteciel the Shark. You can see the same sort of vibe, a little bit less mid bass, so it makes it a little bit cleaner up top, and it is a very clean sounding IM. This is the metal shell one, which you notice they're the same from 300 hertz up, they're the same, but one is a metal shell, slightly less bass, and you notice that the metal shell just sounds a little bit more metallically. Of the two, the resin is the one that I preferred. Okay, and then we have the Coony, the CN1, sorry, the resin shelled one, and the CC1. Okay, the resin shelled one, because of the speaker at 2 and 4, it just, I don't know, there's just something there that just doesn't. And when I compare it, for example, with the resin shell from Pirole, I prefer the resin shell from Pirole. If I compare it to the Tiandirenia, which has got a more similar kind of tuning, the TD19 is just a better IM. The TD19 in green here is just more balanced. It just sounds more polished than the CN1. Okay. As for the CC1, it's got a tuning which, when you look at it, it kind of reminds you of what? It reminds you of the TRI. Where is it? The TRI Draco number 13, exactly. So same sort of style of tuning as a TRI Draco, but it does have a little bit more extension up top. When I compare it to the metal shelled Pirole, the Pirole sounds definitely more detailed, while the other one sounds more organic, more musical, the CC1. So like I said earlier, the CC1, okay, organic sounding, definitely very interesting. The Pirole, the resin, very nicely detailed up top, loads of detail, very competent. This one, the Tandirania, the TD19, let me just make it red so it really stands out. The TD19 again offers another tuning style, which makes it again another interesting option. So they all kind of end up being side grades to each other, and that's the the Pirole is definitely the more audiophile without question. The TD19 is the more colored, and the CC1 is perhaps the more kind of in between of the three. All right. As I said, for the sake of comparing here the Pirole, the resin shell, with some other IEMs here that will be quite interesting for you guys to see. The one I'm going to show you now, that's the Saga balanced version. Okay, as you can see, very similar. Okay, and the Zenith, an even more interesting similarity. Okay, the Zenith is basically the same in terms of the bass, and I mean the Zenith and the Saga are, if you like the Zenith, if you like the Saga, okay, if you like those two, then you'll definitely like the Pirole audio. The Pirole, like I said, it's got that beryllium coated driver. It sounds more detailed than the Saga, okay, as compared to, because it's got also a little bit less bass, that's a reality, as compared to the Zenith. So just these two, they sound very similar, very similar, very clean, very detailed, and I would say even maybe the Pirole audio's got just a little extra more detail up top than the Zenith. I would even say that, and considering that it costs $20 less than the Zenith, it could be an alternative if you don't want to go for KZ because you just don't like the KZ politics and so on and so forth, but you want a similar sound. Here you go. Here you have an interesting and a very viable and solid option. All right, guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I'll do my best to answer as quickly as possible. You take care now. Bye-bye.